Let's talk about building your essay from the top down. That means that you start with a topic and you illustrate it with specific anecdotes, moments, images, and other details. I'm going to use an essay that I call Homesick for Both as an example, and you can find it in the essay bank. So the author knew that she wanted to write about her background, and we narrowed that down to her identity. She broke her identity into two main components. First, she didn't feel 100% American, even though she was an American citizen. And she illustrated that with a specific event. She was in school, and she brought a Chinese dish, sticky rice, and the other kids turned up their nose in disgust. Then she spoke about how she didn't feel 100% Chinese, even though she was ethnically Chinese. She illustrated that with a different memory. She was in China talking to a fruit vendor and realized that she had really different gender attitudes from this man. He said that he wished that he had a son because basically boys were better. Now she reconciles these two feelings when she goes to the Philippines, and she feels like an outsider in every possible way, and so she felt more American and more Chinese at the same time. And she realizes that she is both. So we start up here at the top with a topic. Then you illustrate that topic with specific events. Sticky rice and the conversation with the fruit vendor. Finally, you come to a lesson. But of course it didn't just come out this way. So how did we get here? Step one is to brainstorm. I told this student to write down everything she could about her background, and she ended up coming up with both facts, like the fact that her dad left when she was a kid, and memories, like that conversation with the fruit vendor. At this stage in the game, these memories, these anecdotes, these moments are probably more useful because that's what you can plug in to illustrate your broad theme. Step two is to sort. Once you have come up with as much as you can for your brainstorm, you want to try to get rid of what's less useful and categorize what you're going to keep. When we took a look at her brainstorm, we realized that she was really writing about two different things. On the one hand was her family's background, and on the other hand was her ethnic identity. So we started to get rid of these facts that had to do with her family background, like her dad leaving when she was a kid, or the fact that she moved 4 times. We looked at what was left and realized that we could sort it into broad buckets. So for example, the fact that she had a different attitude on gender than a lot of people in China had to do with her feeling of being American. On the other hand, her celebration of the Chinese holidays had to do with her feeling of being Chinese. And finally, something like the fact that she was an interpreter at home had to do with both of her identities. Step 3 is to outline. Conveniently for us, the 3 broad buckets that we came up with corresponded very nicely to a 3-sentence outline. So first, I didn't feel totally American. Second, I didn't feel totally Taiwanese. Third, in the Philippines, I realized I was both. I advocate making a 3-sentence outline like this before you make a more detailed outline. Because if you keep it simple, you can keep the whole structure in your head, and that makes it much easier to remember what you're trying to accomplish with each paragraph. Let's take a look at the conclusion. It had been 2 months since I moved across the globe to work in the Philippines. As I dug into a bowl of plain rice porridge topped with cilantro and a simple 5-spice egg, a Chinese dish, I remember feeling surprised at how intensely homesick I felt that night, not for Taiwan or America alone, but for both. Notice that the author never makes the lesson explicit. She doesn't write, "And I realized that day that I had a dual identity." Instead, she leaves her dual identity implied in the fact that she is homesick for both Taiwan and America. Let's recap. If you are building your essay from the top down, you start with your idea of a topic or a theme. Then step 1 is to brainstorm. Come up with everything you can. The more specific, the better. Facts are okay, but memories, anecdotes, details, that's better. Step 2 is to sort. Try to narrow down your topic, get rid of the less promising things that you brainstormed, and categorize the rest. Finally, try to outline it. If you can, do a broad 3-sentence outline so that you can keep the entire structure in your head.